thought I'd just make a little foundations thing for you, just to explain to you about all this stuff. Basically, with percentages, fractions, and decimals, let's say I've got 10%. This is the same as 0.1, or 1 over 10, or 10 out of 100. Being able to convert between percentages and decimals is very important because you'll need to do it a lot during the exam. You can convert a percentage to a decimal just by dividing it by 100, and you can convert a decimal to a percentage by timesing it by 100. So, for example, if I've got 35%, I can convert that into decimal by dividing it by 100, and I can convert 0.27 into percent by timesing it by 100, which gives me 27%. Now, you should probably be able to just change them mentally when you see it. You should probably be able to see that and think, oh, that's 10% straight away. But it will take a bit of practice if you don't know how to do it. I think percentages are probably the biggest part of the exam. I think they're in every single question, so if you know how to do this, you should pretty much be set. To find a percentage of something, though, you just multiply whatever it is by the percentage. So let's say I've got 100 fruit and 20% are apples. Now if I'm trying to find out how many apples there are, I convert the percentage into decimal, so 0.2 times by 100 is 20 apples. Alright, seems straightforward enough. Good. And I'll move on to speed, distance, time now, right? So I'll go back to the triangle, which you might have seen right now, maybe not. Okay, this is how I like to do my equations. We do this in chemistry quite a lot. Distance at the top, speed in the corners, and time as well. Now, what this basically means is it tells you how to find the answer to an equation. Let's say I'm trying to find distance. I'd cover it up and I would see that speed and time are at the bottom. So to find a distance, something like times the speed by the time. The most important thing here is to make sure that the speed and the time are in the same units. So if the time's in, let's say, 5 seconds, but the speed's 10 kilometers an hour, you have to change the time into hours or the speed into kilometers per second before doing it, otherwise you get a really messed up answer. Now you can change this equation by covering the S, and that will tell you if you're trying to work out the speed, then you get the distance over time. Now you can do this with the time as well. If you're trying to work out the time, the distance over speed will give you the answer. With this kind of equation here, you can replace the D equals ST if anything. It's also like the changing the subject we did at Nat 5. If you have an equation, okay, so let's say that my equation is area of a square, rectangle, is the length L times B. Let's get rid of this here because I don't have an equal sign on this font. Every rectangle is length times breadth. Now if I told you I was trying to find out what the breadth of it was, you could do something called changing the subject, okay? Now I don't know if you remember this still, but what you can do is you can move one of the letters over from this side, okay? So area of a rectangle, I'll actually change the font to make it clearer. Okay, I'll just get this one here. Area of a rectangle equals LB. Now if I'm trying to find out what B is, I can take the L away from that side and divide it, and now I can get B. That's basically how it works. I can also do it if I was trying to get B. If I was trying to get L, sorry, I could divide the B on both sides, so I get a B here, and I can switch it around. It's basically what I'm doing with distance equals speed times time, but it's probably easier to remember the pyramid at first, because it's just a bit easier. And another last thing, or one of the last things, is multiplying. Let's say I'm trying to multiply something like 3 times, I don't know, 27. I could do this in my head quite fast. It's 81 because I do it in two different ways. Alright, so I'll show you. I split this. I split it into 3 times 7, which is 21, and then I do 3 times 20, which I can do like this: 3 times 2, which is 6, and then 6 times 10 is 60, and then I add these in my head. So 60 add 21 is 81, and that's how I'd multiply something like that. That's how I multiply 3 times 20. So that's what I just did there. Instead of doing 3 times 20, I just do 3 times 2 times 10, which makes it a whole lot simpler to me. You can do this as well with, I'll do a bit of a harder one now. 6 times 83. Alright, 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 8 times 10. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 times 10 is 480. 480 add 18 is 498. And that'll give me the answer quickly. That's what is called partitioning. I think it's quite good for easily just multiplying things in your head, and it's quite cool. Another thing is averages. Averages come up a lot as well. The main one you need to know is the mean, and the mean is all numbers or values added, and you divide this by the count of values. It's basically how many there are. You can also just arrange this around, like just as if I'm trying to find the number of values there are, to try and find where a blank one, if you know what I mean, I can just take this count of values away from the bottom. So the count of values times by the mean would then equal all numbers or variables added. Basically, I'll show you an example of how you could use this. Alright. So let's say there are 5 test scores in a class. The average score is 20. Okay, here are 4 of the scores: 5, 18, 26, and 13. And x. Find x. How you would do this is you do 20 times 5, because we know mean is total values over count. So the mean times the count, which is 5 times the mean, will give you 100. And if 100 is total values, you can do 100 take away all these answers, which is 100 take away 5, 95. 95 take away 18, take away 26, take away 13. I'm a bit lazy, so I'm just going to use my calculator. 95 take away 18, take away 26, take away 13 is 38. So 38 is x. That was just an example there. And one more equation you might need to know is acceleration is v minus u divided by time. I don't think you'll need to rearrange this one, but it's just in case, because I think it might pop up once in a while. This one's probably a bit harder to rearrange, but you still can if you remember. If I were you, I'd probably take a look at the BBC Bite Size page from Nat 5 about changing the subject. That's quite helpful, I think. With this here, acceleration is basically how much the speed changes per second. So I don't know if you did physics or not, sorry, but if you did, you probably know this, then you probably know how to rearrange it. But just in case it pops up and asks for what the acceleration is, it's the final speed take away initial speed divided by time. Just to say. And also probability. I've already put a video up about that. but probability is it's the number of outcomes you're looking for. Sorry, number of target outcomes and that's been divided by number of all outcomes. So I've used this example before, sorry if you're rewatching it again, but let's say I am rolling a dice, okay, and I want to get an even number. The number of target outcomes there would be, I could either get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. That's the number of all the outcomes. That's six outcomes I can get. The number of ones I want, which are even, is 1, 2, 3. So 2, 4 and 6. So then that would become 3 divided by 6. And that would mean that the probability is a half. Hopefully that makes sense. You can just change that off anything you want. Like if I was saying what's probability of me picking a random number between 1 and 10 and it being 4. Well, there's only one outcome between 1 and 10 that's 4, so it'll be 1 over number of all outcomes. There's 10 choices, 10, so it'll be 1 over 10 for that example as well. I think that's it, to be honest. I think I've gone over most of the stuff you need. I think I've got a ratio video to make next, so I'll try and find one of them for you. But hope this isn't too boring. Enjoy.